All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you're able to enjoy this beautiful weather. It's been quite a while since we've seen you, and we're really excited to. We've got a lot to tell you this morning. A lot of things, a lot of really good things are happening. So, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And please don't hesitate to stop us at any point during the presentation to ask questions, because, like I said, there's a lot that's been going on. So, we want to make sure that we assume is that we're telling you something, but we've been in the middle of it. So you may not have been quite up to speed. So please don't hesitate. Please ask us questions. That's why we're here. That's why we have these meetings. We want you to be as informed as possible. So, just stop us at any point. So I will call the meeting to order at 9:03 a.m. And with your agenda, you should have received the minutes for the February meeting. So does anybody have any corrections or additions to those minutes? All right, hearing none, the minutes will stand as presented. This morning, we're excited to have Josh Stunkel, who's the Assistant Chief of Police for the Springfield Police Department, and Corin Vanderwill, the Program Manager at Task Center for Health and Justice, to bring us up to speed about some fantastic programming we've got going on in the community, or the potential for going on in our community. So I don't know, Josh, if you want to take it, or Corin, you want to take it?
Good morning, everybody. Josh Stunkel here. I am the Assistant Chief for Springfield Police. I am in my car because I'm just leaving another meeting, but I'm sitting in a parking lot and I'm not driving. So,
oh, thank you. We appreciate that.
I appreciate the invitation today and to bring everybody up to speed kind of on what we're doing as far as what we're calling SEED, and that is Springfield Engage, Empower, and Deflect Initiative. So this started, well, about this time last year when we were informed that we were being included on some legislative funding for a co-responder program in Springfield. And took a little bit to get all of that sorted out, but essentially we decided that, we wanted to use this money to address homelessness and crime victims in the Springfield area. And along with that, Task Center for Health and Justice came on board to help us build a long-lasting program. The legislative funding that we received is really just a one-year grant, and we don't know how long past there we will get funding for this pilot program. And this task initiative on the side is really to help build that program out long-term. So we kind of have these two things running side by side, hoping to address homelessness and crime victims in Springfield. And we have a lot of great leaders from the community who are at the table for these trainings that Task is putting on for us to help build this. We have had 6 days of training with those leaders from, like I said, lots of groups within the community who will help address homelessness. And a big piece of that is co-responding, having social workers working with police officers. We already have another grant that we're working through that with that's already shown to be successful. So we think that this will just add on to that in another area and hopefully help us relieve some of those issues here in Springfield. And I talked a lot, so I don't know if you have any questions or if Corin has anything she'd like to talk about.
That's good, Josh. I'm noticing it looks like Corin seems to be sort of stuck in the waiting room, so I'm not sure if she's able to hear you or has been able to join. But again, I want to thank you for joining us today and just keeping this line of communication open. I know several of the organizations that are in the general membership have participated in those trainings, and the invitation has been open for the planning meetings as well. So I just want to say, I think the police department's interest and really, working to address homelessness and pulling together the partners, and then even, working to focus this grant in that direction is a really exciting development. And I think while everything is still in the planning process, there's a lot of potential here for this to improve what's happening in our community as it pertains to street outreach and helping to connect people with services as quickly as possible. The other side of that from the continuum of care standpoint is we need to expand services, right? We know that there are not enough housing resources, supportive services for people in our community. So as we build capacity to refer people, we also need to, as a community, figure out how to expand the needed programs. So, which is exactly what we've set out to do with the strategic plan. So these things working together could be really impactful for our community.
And the other piece of that I maybe failed to mention is, we're running this through law enforcement because we seem to have the most contact. We are out there in the community. We're often the first one that people call, but we are also oftentimes the not the best, or even maybe sometimes the worst person or group to deal with these problems. When you're talking about someone's health issues or mental health issues, it's getting these individuals to the right help rather than having them end up in jail, getting them the help that they need prior to criminal act, or, just avoiding those situations where they end up in jail or prison, where really isn't a solution for the individual or the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Has Corin been able to get on, Josh?
Let's see, she's not in the waiting room. I'm looking through I don't think she's in, it doesn't appear. It looks like.
If she can't get out, I can talk a little bit about TASC and just our relationship with them. They are contracted through the state to do this, to set up these deflection initiatives, and they have several throughout the state that are going already. And they kind of tailor it to each individual site and their needs, but they have this program that is shown to be successful in other areas, and they have brought it to us, this training program, and then these action steps and planning that we are going through. And so they are bringing us something that has worked in other areas that hopefully we can build out here in Springfield to be successful in the long term.
Terrific. Yeah. Are there any of the agencies that have attended this training want to add anything additional to it? Maybe the impact that, or the potential that you see, or the benefit that you've received from attending any of these trainings? Okay. Does anybody have any further questions for Josh? Either one.
Just want to thank you for joining us, Josh. I know this is an especially busy season for you, so thanks for taking the time to be a part of this.
Thank you. And anyone that has additional questions, feel free to reach out to us here at Springfield Police. And I just appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Chief. All right. The Heartland House quarterly update. Josh Sabo.
All right. We'll try to get as many Joshes as possible involved in this. But it's been an especially busy season for Heartland House, flowing out of the creation of the strategic plan. And one of the things that we committed to as part of the action steps is providing quarterly updates. So now that we're through the first quarter of 2023, that's what we'd like to do for you all. We've also put this information in an infographic that we'll send out as a follow-up to this meeting too. So you'll be able to sort of see more in depth some of the things that I'm going to walk through. So, if you remember the strategic plan, I know you're not tired of us talking about it at all, but one of the dynamics is building community capacity. So part of that is building capacity for system leadership, which in our case, in part means, building the support for the continuum of care. And through the strategic plan, the vehicle that we've designed to do that is Heartland Housed. So dating back to last October, we assembled the strategy board that's laid out in the strategic plan. And in that time have been working to really sort of lay the foundation, so then we can really hopefully begin to meet some of the goals. So on this slide, I just want to walk you through some of the things that have happened over the course of the last few months. And then we have a few graphs to sort of show you some of that as well. And then we can make space for questions, and then also we'll email out a more in-depth infographic type of report. So a big component of this has been securing support from Sangamon County, the city of Springfield and Capitol Township to support the annual budget of Heartland House so that we can build this organization and move forward. And as of February of this year, we have had all that support in place, which has helped us to really begin taking some important steps forward. Earlier this year, we held a 2-day diversion training. 14 staff from 6 different organizations in the community were a part of that. That diversion training, at some level, we'll do something like that more on the community level. But that flows out of improving our system, that second strategy in the strategic plan. Also within that strategy of the strategic plan, we began a consultation process with Homebase on our coordinated entry process. And that is ongoing. And we anticipate that during the month of May, a lot of that work will be done. As the city, one of the big things that we highlighted through the strategic plan was this unique opportunity we have as a community through the city of Springfield's home ARP funding. We worked closely with the city to develop a draft and recommend an allocation for those funding that has the potential to help us reach some of our early goals in the strategic plan. At this point, that has been submitted to HUD. HUD will approve it, and then we have some more processes that we will work through with the city, and we'll invite your involvement in those processes too as they move forward. Heartland Housed has submitted our application for nonprofit status. That will open the door for us once we receive it to do some fundraising to help create capacity to grow some of the programs identified in the strategic plan. And then just a few weeks ago in early March, we received a $25,000 medical respite care capacity building grant through the Illinois Public Health Institute. That grant allows us to pull together stakeholders with technical assistance provided by nationwide experts to really figure out how we can develop those 10 bridge care beds that are talked about in strategy 3 of the strategic plan. So we're really excited about that opportunity. We are in the early stages of beginning that process, but that will all complete by the end of June in terms of doing that work and preparing a plan that then we can hopefully get support to move forward with. And then the last 2 pieces of this part anyway. Each year, we talk about, in depth, the HUD's Continuum of Care competition program. I've got a couple slides that I'll show you in just a moment about this, but that is our opportunity through the federal government to increase our funding to address homelessness. And this year we were awarded our bonus project, which means our funding from HUD grew for the first time through receiving a bonus project in more than a decade. That's a big deal. So we want to make sure that you're aware of that. One of the implications for that, not only does it mean that we're on the right track, but it also means that as we look towards that competition in 2023, there's additional opportunity there. We'll have the opportunity to apply for another bonus project this year. But additionally, the last couple of years, we've not been able to apply for a project to serve people fleeing domestic violence. Had we, given the score that we got and the fact that we got bonus money last year, had we applied for that funding, we likely would have received it. And so one of the things that we plan to do in early summer is basically just have an informational meeting for anybody who might be interested in putting together a project to go after that funding this year when the competition drops. So if that's a part or a component of your organization, we'd love for you to go ahead and start dreaming and brainstorming about that a little bit. And then last but certainly not least, we have finally gotten to a point where we are able to add to the team at Heartland House. And so Jamie Riedel has joined us as our system coordinator. This is her first week. And so we want to welcome Jamie. And Jamie, if you want to come off mute and introduce yourself, I know folks will have the opportunity to get to know you more in the weeks to come, but love for you to say hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm Jamie Riedel. I will be the system coordinator, and I'm super excited to get started and to work with all of you guys.
All right. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know there's, thanks, Jamie. I know there's a lot there that I just went through. Again, all of that will be, sort of spelled out a little bit more and sent to you in the infographic that's coming through the general membership list. But I want to show you a few graphs, and then we can take any questions or have any conversation that you all would like to have. Another piece of this that you see on the slide in front of you is just sort of the structure. I know as we've begun talking about Heartland Housed, it's something new, and so at some level there's probably confusion or not understanding how all of this works together, right? Heartland Housed, really the goal of our staff and the strategy board that's also been assembled is to provide ongoing, strategic support, resource support for the continuum of care. So in that sense, continuing on the work that that I and the Continuum of Care Board have been doing for the last few years. Through the strategic plan and something that we've been working to develop over the last couple of years as well, we'll be creating a lived experience advisory board, and then also a housing task force. And the goal of that housing task force will really be to help us achieve the goals in strategy 1. So all of that is sort of a part of the structure of Heartland Housed. Then I want to show you just a couple graphs. Was there a question there? No. Okay. Many of you actually, you or your organizations participated in our point in time count in late January. We're still finalizing those numbers, but we're at a point where I feel comfortable enough sharing with you all, even though they're not submitted to HUD and formally approved at this point. But what we see happening with our point in time count is really exactly what we projected in the strategic planning process. If you look at our counts over the last couple of years, they've really fluctuated quite a bit. A lot of that has obviously had to do with the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're at this interesting point where there was an influx of funding for different programs that has gone away. There was an eviction moratorium, obviously that has gone away. And we're seeing, we saw a bit of a climb in 2022, but in 2023, our count appears that it's going to be around 40 to 45 people higher than it was in 2022. And that, while I think we've had some successes, we're moving in the right direction. I think it's important for us as a community to continue to remember that what we projected in the strategic plan was that homelessness could continue to rise by as many as 155 people per year unless resources grow to meet needs. So the urgency of growing programs and growing resources remains just as high as ever, and the point in time count demonstrates that as well. That's the bad news, I suppose. I want to just show you in the sense of, as we talked about COC funding, again, we talk about one of the key challenges we face is resources. And if you go all the way back to 2010, our community was receiving over $650,000 a year from HUD. Now, even that was insufficient to meet needs, but because of community performance, because of different factors, over the decade following, our community lost over $250,000 annually in funding from HUD to help meet this critical need. Again, I highlight this to highlight how significant it is that our funding grew through this previous competition, and just the fact that as a community we have to continue to put new projects out there and go after all the additional funding that HUD makes available to us, because that drop in funding is an important part of some of the challenges that we face and that those experiencing homelessness in our community face. And so it's important that we continue on this path. And then also just to highlight, how competitive are we as a community? That is, whether those bonus projects are awarded to us or not depends on how we score on that competitive grant. And so just going back to 2018, every year HUD puts out a debriefing. So they'll say, here's how you scored in these different areas. So if you go back to 2018, special thanks to Nick Dotson who put this together for us. The white line at the top shows you the highest score of any COC in the country each of these years. The yellow line shows you the median score, and the blue line has been our score as a community. So if you go back to 2018 and 2019, you'll see that we were below the median level. And then in 2021, we climbed above it. And then this year we were just over 10 points away from the highest score in the country. So again, what that means is that, while certainly our system is not where we want it to be, and there's all kinds of room for growth, the collaborations, the work that y'all are doing around the task groups, all of the work that y'all are putting into strategic planning and all of these things, that's what allows us to be competitive in that grant process. And we are competitive. So continuing to do this work, continuing to build upon it, puts us in a place to continue to grow the funding available to our community. So, a big part of that is a thank you to you all for the work that you've done and the work that you continue to do. So that is my quarterly report. Val.
Yeah, and thank you, Nick, for that. That visual almost took my breath away. I mean, I knew how close we were. I knew how well we had performed the last couple of years, but thanks, Nick, for putting that together, because that really drives it home, and I appreciate that. Does anyone have any questions? I also wanted to offer, I saw that Tim Hayworth was on the call also, and he is the treasurer for Heartland House. I didn't know if, Tim, you had anything you'd like to add to the report?
No, Josh really covered it, and I'm with you, Val. That last graphic was really, really encouraging to see us up there and competitive.
Right. Yeah.
Ready to keep going. Yeah.
Well, like I said, Tim has done an amazing amount of work working with Josh as treasurer. There is, you can well imagine, when you're starting from the ground up, building the foundation that is needed for our community to address the unhoused in our community. Just the amount of work that Tim has been able to put in, and has volunteered a lot of his time. So I really thank you, Tim, for that.
Can I just have the opportunity to say that, yes, I appreciate that last graphic, and while it is an ode to the work that's being done by the agencies, that I think that we also have to recognize Josh and his organizational skills and his leadership in turning this continuum around. So thank you, Josh.
I agree, Penny, and you jumped just a second ahead of me. So please, thank you.
Amen to that.
100%. Great job, Josh.
Ditto, ditto, ditto.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Are there any questions? Any additional questions? All right. We're going to now hear from Laura Davis, who's going to give us an update on the Helping Hands Emergency Shelter transition.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I feel like we are kind of in a finalizing phase for a lot of the planning. So I think next time we meet, we'll actually be able to have some visuals. We are in the process right now of finalizing the blueprints. We have the basic of everything, but we're getting down to the nitty gritty. So that is finalized or finalizing. Construction has started on the roof over what will be the dormitory. Currently it's an outdoor area in that facility, and they are putting the roof on it so that we can turn it into a dorm. We've got the lease agreement with the county that the attorneys are finalizing. Right now we are working with Salvation Army and the city to figure out how to provide services alongside Salvation Army in the current location, so we can help the clients transition. And so those talks are ongoing. And then next week we'll have a finalized transportation plan. We do have the work with SMTD as far as bus stops, but we're just figuring out the route for the shuttle that we'll be providing. And so all of that at our next meeting, we should be able to have visuals for everyone to see.
Terrific.
I can attest to the fact that there's a lot of work going on out here. Yesterday, I couldn't talk on the phone at all in my office. They're definitely working on the roof. And there's a lot of activity and a lot of vehicles out here working. So they seem to be moving along.
Terrific. Any questions that maybe Laura can or maybe can't answer? All right, thank you for all your work. I know this has been ongoing and there's a lot of moving parts to this. So we appreciate everything that you're doing, you and your staff are doing. Appreciate it. All right, ESG and HP grant updates. Josh.
Absolutely. And I apologize. I have too many windows open on my computer and it's coming back to bite me right now. But so each year around this time, this is pretty typical for the Illinois Department of Human Services to release information on the Emergency Solutions Grant and the homelessness. It's not the homeless prevention grant, but grant as well. So what's interesting this year around this, in which is that the Department of Human Services has kind of gone through and redone their formula in regards to how they allocate funding for communities. And so what that means for us for the Emergency Solutions Grant is that we have about $45,000 more than usual to allocate out for that grant. So typically it's around $130,000, give or take. And then this year it's around 176. So immediately after this meeting, when we send out the general membership email, it's going to have a letter of intent in it for the Emergency Solutions Grant. And that's going to be due back to us by 5 o'clock next Thursday. And it's not an incredibly intense application, but it does include some information about what our hopes for in terms of allocating those funds. The biggest part of that is that as a continuum of care, our commitment has been to do everything we can to allocate funding in line with the strategic plan and in line with the highlighted gaps in our community. So with that being the case, rapid rehousing is the highest priority for Emergency Solutions Grant. In addition to that, we have highlighted the gap in street outreach, the need in our community for more devoted street outreach work. In particular, as we go through this transition and location around emergency shelter, I think it's even more critical this year than perhaps ever before that we really have dedicated street outreach, walking with people through that transition. And then we also recognize that with that emergency shelter transition, which is another category of funding that Emergency Solutions Grant can provide, that there are needs around expanding emergency shelter services beyond what they currently are to support a 24/7, 365 shelter. So those are in terms of what's happening in our community. The goal of the rating and ranking committee will be to line up that funding to best meet those needs that we recognize as a community. In addition to that, we're also going to send out the letter of intent for homelessness prevention. One of that, I apologize. I wanted to have those numbers right in front of me. I believe what's available this year is $105,000, which is an increase of over $10,000 over previous years. So that's another opportunity we will put out there. Fifth Street Renaissance has historically been our homelessness prevention provider, and I do want to highlight, just as we went through the strategic planning process, one of the data points that came out through that was that in our community, homelessness prevention, in particular, Fifth Street's program is incredibly effective. Of people who are served through that program, over 99% of them do not return to the system. And so just want to take that as a moment to celebrate the work that they do and have done. I think that's it on those two. Again, that information will be coming out through email, and the homelessness prevention grant is not due next Thursday. There's a little bit of a longer window on that one, but would be happy to take any questions about either of those.
All right, you want to just go right into the trainings?
Yes.
Yes.
One of the, one of the reasons why our schedule is a bit different for general membership meeting is, the recognized need to carve out more training opportunities for our community. So in February, that meant that we partnered with Hope Fair Housing to do a fair housing training. And we also partnered with SHPA to do a housing first training. So in May, on the third Thursday in May, we'll also be hosting another training. The exact topic is still being finalized, but we're hoping to do something around street outreach and street outreach training during that. So as soon as we do finalize that, we'll be sending out information on the location, and we'll hope that many of you will be a part of it.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to now open it up and to any of the agencies that have any updates they'd like to share with us, any exciting things that are happening with them.
Hi, Claire with Lincoln Leanne. I just wanted to let you know if you have clients or anybody interested, we do have some free summer programs happening for students that qualify to take a free summer class, as well as a summer in math English boost and then a career exploration. So I'll just include the link in the chat if you want to refer clients our way.
Oh, thanks, Claire.
This doesn't really have to do with Mercy, but I just had a meeting with MTI the other day, and I wanted to let everyone know that they have they utilize the Penn Foster high school diploma program there. And it's like a $2,500 high school diploma program, but they're offering it to anyone for $50.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. I think that it's not GED. I think it is actual like high school diploma, and it's open to like anyone. So I just
how would we get that out? Where do you have a link
I
or
have
something?
a flyer. I actually have an
great.
electronic flyer that I can send to Josh, and he can
Great.
attach. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Also, Mercy Communities is having our annual, or I mean, it's back to annual, I guess. Power of the Purse fundraiser
First, yay.
next Thursday. So we're super excited. It's sold out, but I did want to let everyone know that we are still selling raffle tickets to our Louis Vuitton purse. I personally picked it up in Oak Brook, so I can tell you that it's brand new, authentic, and beautiful. So they're $20 a piece, and they are available on our website.
Mhm.
I just want to throw out, so this is Deerfield Reserve. They are working on the permanent supportive housing project over on Park Avenue. And we do actually have a building up now. It's not completed, but that was exciting for us. And we have a tentative move-in date in October. So it is coming right along.
Wow.
Awesome.
And remind us again, Laura, how many people will you be able to house there?
So it's 22 units. It'll be 11 one bedroom and 11 two bedrooms. So potentially we could do 33 people there.
All right.
But I meant to put this on the other business agenda part of it too. But Katina, I didn't prep you for this at all, but I wondered if you might be able to give us a little bit of the update on the Young Voices event that was held earlier in April. Would have been beneficial to prep you. That's totally on me. Was there anybody here that was able to make that event? In addition to, I know Youth Service Bureau put a tremendous amount of work into leading that effort.
Claire said she was able to join.
I attended. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any Lincoln Leanne students to go, but there were some youth lived experience folks there, and they had a lot of good input. So I think we're just hoping in the future that we garner more interest from youth in that age range to attend. But a lot of good information.
Thank you.
Just adding to that, so a big part. Oh, Katina must have got kicked out of the meeting, so that's why. One of the things that we've been working towards, kind of connecting back to the early conversation around HUD funding, is that there is an annual or every other year, depending on what's going on, but there's a program called the Youth Homelessness Demonstration Program. And so it is an opportunity for our community to really pursue additional funding to address youth homelessness. Over the last couple of years, we've been talking about how to lay the framework to actually be competitive for that and go for it. And so the work that Youth Service Bureau did around the Young Voices event, one of the goals is to build a youth advisory board, which is a key part of being able to apply for the Youth Homelessness Demonstration Program. So just want to kind of connect that to more of, again, it's important for us to be able to hear from youth, especially those with lived experience, as we figure out where the gaps are in our system. And then also, the goal is not just to hear from them, but to hear from them and then work to build resources and programs to meet those gaps. So I just want to mention that and connect those pieces.
Okay, now I'm going to pick on somebody that we haven't prepped for this, but I know he can handle it.
That's
Nick.
good. That's what we should do the rest of the meeting. Just pick random people and make them.
Okay, so Nick, you're going to be on here. I don't know how much this group really knows about the Landlord Risk Mitigation Fund, which I think is such an important piece of our housing. So if you want to just kind of give an update on that, or maybe even explain what it is and how important it is to what we're trying to do.
Sure. So the Landlord Risk Mitigation Fund is kind of a pool of money set aside to cover potential damages or losses incurred by landlords who rent to folks that we work with, potentially in rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, emergency housing vouchers, or within the payee services. Sometimes these tenants are folks that the landlords might consider high risk or potentially folks that might cause or be more likely to cause damage or not pay rent, et cetera, et cetera. And this is kind of like a way to kind of send an olive branch to those landlords. And it's a great recruitment tool to keep landlords engaged in our work and committed to our work. So in 2021, when I was hired, Erica Smith made me aware of these programs nationally. So I kind of studied some of the policies, and Josh and myself and Amy and some others kind of through some serious time writing a policy and getting it all approved by the board. And with that being said, it's, I'm really proud to say that I think we've had 3 or 4 claims. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly. Josh, are we up to 4 or is it just 3?
I believe it's 3.
It's 3.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 claims and so far. And we actually have a Landlord Risk Mitigation Fund board that approves all of the claims submitted. So it's prevented 3 specific individuals from being displaced, which I think is a very powerful thing so far. And with that being said, I think it's really cool to note that Champaign County has actually started a Landlord Risk Mitigation Fund, and they were funded by the actual county board to the tune of $136,000. So they see the value in it as well. So it's kind of starting to spread regionally, which I think is a really cool thing. So I have the policy, a 1 sheet for landlords to kind of help them understand it at a very basic level. I'm glad to share that with anyone. And if there are any specific questions about it, I'm more than happy to talk more about it on a one-on-one level. But I think it's just a really great kind of a risk assessment for folks to feel a little bit more at ease whenever they might not be as, open to the idea of working with us. So it's just another great, tool in our tool belt, to say the least, to recruit folks for housing opportunities for the clients we serve.
Thank you.
Of course.
I don't want to piggyback on everything too. One, just want to say that Nick and that advisory board for that fund have done a great job. And then the other thing I want to highlight is that we were able to launch that fund with $30,000 through the Community Foundation for the Land of Lincoln, in particular the Jane and Paul Ford Family Fund and the Bruce Summer Family Fund helped get us rolling. So one of the ongoing pieces of that is ongoing funding. So as we as we help clients and landlords, we see the value of it, but we also need to keep replenishing the funds. So just in case you know anybody, we'll just want to throw that out there. And then also a special thanks to Fifth Street Renaissance that serves as the fiscal agent for that process.
Val, if I may, this is Dave from Sangamon.
Sure.
Just a reminder that LIHEAP ends on May the 31st. And we have a lot of changes for next year, and we'll be sending out material to all so you can help us inform the clients. There's a huge reduction in LIHEAP funding coming from Washington.
Right.
The entire state's going to lose about $100 million. So LIHEAP, which normally starts in September, will not start till October.
Huh?
The first month will be for senior citizens and disabled only. November will be for families with children under the age of 6. And then the general public who qualifies for income would be able to apply in December. So it'll be a big change. And there's the last 2 years we've had what we call the UDAP program, utility disconnect assistance. So anybody who was on a disconnect list with CWLP or Ameren, we paid their bills 100%. That is not happening this summer. So that'll be another big change. And we're trying to inform those now, but we know, and the reason I want to start pushing information out is to protect my frontline staff who's going to get the brunt of the phone calls asking, how come you're not paying my bill? So be aware of that. And as you're talking to your clients, remind them of the changes coming with LIHEAP. If they have not applied with us this year, they still have till May 31st that they can apply for that. And an important thing to remember is they do not have to be behind on their bills to qualify, but they do have to qualify by income. So that, and that's at 200% right now. That may change next year as well. There's talk it may go back down to 150. And in a way, I hope they do, just because we're not going to have as much money to offer. So we have, through our contacts with the state, the county does have enough money to fund everybody the rest of this year. So there's no fear of running out of funding for this year. But I don't expect to come close to me. I'll help the number of people we've helped the last 2 or 3 years again when the season starts in October.
Is that for this calendar year or this fiscal year for you guys?
The LIHEAP runs from September 1st to May 31st.
Okay.
And then it stops, and it'll start again October 1st and go till next summer. So,
Okay. All right. Anybody have any other questions for Dave? I do have one more question, Dave, and this is just informational for me. Are the levels at which you're being reduced, is this because of how much was increased during the pandemic? So are you back down to pre-pandemic levels as far as funding, or is this just a random reduction? I don't know how else to say it.
it's a combination of both.
Okay.
COVID funds are gone,
Mhm.
and the amount of money being reduced is going down a little lower than before too.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. Okay.
And I know the legislature's already approved Ameren to increase their rates again this December.
Mhm.
So that's
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any
I just have
other?
a quick
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Lisa Brown from Abundant Faith. I just have a quick update about our permanent supportive housing. So we have a couple vacancies coming up, and we're starting to do assessments with potential clients next week. These are our Haven apartments. They're 2-bedroom apartments. So I just wanted to mention that in case anyone had clients that would be interested or needed housing, permanent supportive housing.
Terrific. Thank you, Lisa.
Lisa, how do we apply for those?
You would just have to call our office and schedule an appointment with our case managers, And then we'd bring in the potential client and just do the intake and assessment with that person and kind of explain to them our process and about the time frame it would take to get into the unit.
And Lisa, what other qualifications are there for that program?
So the only qualification that we have for Haven Apartments is to have a physical or mental disability. It's women and children only, and it's either the mother or the child has to have a physical or mental disability.
Our coordinated entry task group is meeting in 12 minutes, and so that would be, that's a great pool of people potentially to that could be used for a match, hopefully.
Yes, and would I just need to stay on the call, or is there a different link that I would need?
There's another link. I'll send it to you right now, though.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa, I would echo that and just say that coordinated entry is a great resource to fill your units.
Thank you.
All right. Any other
Hi, everybody.
agencies?
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry. Good morning, everybody. It's so awesome to see all the great work that you're all doing there in your COC. I'm glad to be here. I just wanted to talk a minute about the opportunity. Most of you have probably received the peer leadership training workshop opportunity that's happening between now and the end of June. Because as we're asking peers to sit on boards and committees and fill advisory roles and things like that, our peer group identified skills that they wish that they had when being asked to do those things. So we were fortunate to be able to partner with the Office to Prevent and End Homelessness and conduct workshops throughout the state. We're going to be doing 4 regional workshops for persons with lived expertise. Knowing that the workshop's designed by peers, it will also be co-facilitated by peers. And leaders throughout the state with lived experience will be our guest speakers. They will speak to what skills they needed to get to these leadership positions and encourage those persons who are trying to do so. We're going to be conducting a networking event throughout this. So we're going to be inviting everybody from these regions to come in with any opportunities that they have. Please watch for the invite opportunities for those with lived experience. It'll also include an advisory session, an advocacy session with local agencies, continuum of care. So any advocacy opportunities available in your communities. Just as housekeeping, it is a 3-day workshop that we ask everyone to commit to. And the locations will be announced because we're going to be bringing these workshops to the people that are interested rather than expecting people to do travel. They will be paid, peers selected will be paid a stipend for attending the workshop. So as they are during the day, if they would have to miss work or something, they will be paid for their time, as well as any travel, lodging, or meal expenses involved. And then upon completion of the workshop, if they would like to, they could be co-facilitators for future workshops. And when that happens, they will be paid a living wage stipend to be a co-facilitator. So if you know of anybody who might be interested in the leadership training workshop opportunity, or if you would like to, if you'd like to recommend someone, we have an expression of intent form, just knowing that the workshop will be limited to 10 peers per region. And the form, when I sent it out, somehow the link was broken. So I will drop the link into the chat, just knowing that the submission deadline is 5 p.m. on April 26th. So if you have,
that's plenty of time.
I know, I sent it on the 14th. So if you know of any speakers that can speak to us, if you know of any opportunities, reach out. As we narrow down your location and where we'll be and all of this, I'll send out more information for people to come and speak with our persons of lived experience and share those opportunities. So I just appreciate your time. I don't mean to barge in on all of your good work with local agencies and all of the important work, but I'd be remiss not to mention it's a fantastic, one-of-a-kind opportunity.
Well, we appreciate your partnership, Susan. So absolutely bud it anytime.
Thank you.
Hey, Susan.
Yes.
We've identified somebody that we think would probably be a good fit, but I think that it'll take more convincing for her to
Sure.
do it than just us. So is it okay if I give her your information?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to speak with anyone. That's the one thing I forgot to say, is if, if they want to see what we're doing now, our YouTube channel is kind of reinvented and up and running. It's in my signature line on every email, with persons who have shared their experience. I could also have her talk to other peers who are active with our program, what we're doing now.
Thank you.
I'd love to. Thanks.
All right. Any additional updates?
Hi, this is Ling Ling. It's less of an update, more of a FYI. So we had reached out to Josh last year through our data vendor to add point in time count as an indicator on our data platform. So this is where I just dropped the link in the chat. You will be able to see kind of a timeline of the point in time counts in Sangamon and Macon County. And Josh will be reaching out to get data from this past round as well. Feel free to explore that site. We have many indicators around many different health issues from county level all the way to census tract level. So feel free to explore. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. We use this data for grant writing, for presentations, for needs assessment, etc.
All right. Thank you, Ling Ling.
You're welcome. I will drop my email in the chat as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? I know we got all sorts of good work going on out there. All right. Do we have any comments from the public? Anyone like to mention anything or ask any additional questions?
Val, I've got one more thing. I'm sorry.
Sure, no problem.
Just wanted to let everyone know that we do have openings in our transitional program. We've had a little bit more of a difficult time filling it here lately. So if you know of a mother with children that is interested, have them give us a call, please.
Thank you, Amy.
And I have something else too, Val.
Penny, I kept thinking I know you've got a couple of things.
Oh, well, you may have to remind me of one of them. So Fifth Street Renaissance has COVID homeless prevention dollars available. We are nearing the end of this grant. It ends in September. We still have a significant amount of money left. So if you are getting anyone who has been affected by COVID, please send them our way, and we will get them taken care of. I've been doing some advertising on social media and Springfield Families Helping Families, and we're not getting a lot. So I really don't want to let this money go to waste. I know that there's still people experiencing COVID, so we want to get this money out there.
Okay, great.
And what's the other thing, Val?
Oh, yeah. We're going to be talking about that later today, I guess.
Yeah, so do you want me to announce that?
If you want to.
So Fifth Street Renaissance and the Continuum of Care, Fifth Street Renaissance is receiving funds on behalf of the Continuum of Care. All total for the both of us is $1.5 million. And we are having a meeting later on to determine how that money is going to be able to be used, because we don't know at this point. Our information is limited.
Hey, Penny, what's the best way for people to reach out to you with that money?
For the
Sorry,
COVID,
for the
homeless
COVID
prevention.
Yeah.
So I can get an email, or the client can call Fifth Street Main Office Extension 10. That's 217-544-5040, extension 10. They can leave a message and a screener will call them back. Tell them to only leave one message because it slows the process. We are checking voicemails twice a day and returning calls as they come in.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Penny, this is Tamika. Would you send it to me? I can put it on Facebook and get the word out to about
Sure.
the program. Thanks,
Sure.
sweetheart.
I'll actually put the information in the chat.
Hey, Penny, where's that funding coming from? The $1.5 million that we're collaborating on? I'm just curious if do we know where that's?
I believe that they are, help me, Val. I believe that they're ARPA funds and they're coming through Decio.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right. If there's no other updates, I'll just remind everybody that our next meeting will be June 15th. And hopefully you can join us for the training on Thursday, May 18th. And Josh will be sending additional information on that. And anything that's in the chat, I know that Josh will get out to everyone too, any of the links. So I just want to thank you all for joining us this morning, and I may have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
All right, thank you. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey Josh,
Yes.
this is Tamika.
Hey.
Can you send me the information to my inbox? The email addresses and phone numbers. I can start reaching out to people within the next couple weeks. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry, Tamika, send what to you? I missed that part.
The emails and their phone number, I can reach out to them in the next couple weeks.
Okay. Yeah. Are you getting the general membership emails?
Yes, I am.
Well, everything that we get here, we'll kind of push out here in the next couple hours.